I've been watching a lot of horror streams recently on YouTube, especially Wendigoon's ARG streams, and it's got me thinking that I've been so lucky over the years to have a lot of creative people make a lot of horror content on YouTube. From the old series Salad Fingers to something more recent such as the Mandela Catalog. And it got me thinking about probably one of the oldest pieces of horror content on YouTube, Blank Room Soup. Blank Room Soup was uploaded to the early days of YouTube, and 19 years on, it's still causing speculation and horror in people's hearts. I mean, there's still tons of speculation that goes on. Was it real cannibalism? Was it an art project? If not, were they ever caught? And if it was real, who were they and why would they upload such a strange thing? Today I'd like to get to the bottom of that, and I think the results will surprise you. So for those of you who are either too young to remember or not chronically online enough to know the video, what is Blank Room Soup? Well, it was uploaded in November of 2005 under the title Freaky Soup Guy. And it features a guy in a blank-walled room eating chunky stew-like soup. The video begins with a man alone in a room eating a chunky stew-like soup. His eyes are blacked out, and what first seems to be laughter turns to tears. Soon, pop figure-looking mascots creep into the room on both sides of him. They pat him, almost to comfort him. This just causes the man to cry harder and become more distressed. The video ends there. Understandably, viewers were intrigued or even freaked out by the video. Shock sites were already a thing in 2005, but releasing a video like this on a more public platform like YouTube exposed a lot more people to a tamer version of what a shock site would have. People would speculate on YouTube comments and elsewhere as to the origins and meaning of Blank Room Soup. A lot of theories have come from this video, but one of the more popular ones is that the man seen in the video was kidnapped, and this is because of the blank walls, the crying of the man as he's eating, and the bizarre behavior of these mascots as they come in and try to comfort him. Perhaps the video is a snuff film, a video of somebody's last moments as they're killed for entertainment. That video is then distributed onto shock sites like LiveLeak. The masked figures in the video could have uploaded it as sort of an advertisement for their dark web website. Sort of uploading a portion of the video knowing that most would see it as sort of a strange and creepy video, and those more intrigued with more morbid curiosities would then seek out their website on the dark web. As somebody who was on the horror side of YouTube way back when, in the early 2010s, the Deep Web edition got added around that time. Deep Web stuff was pretty popular back then. There were stories done by Mr. Creepypasta and even Corpse Husband when he used to narrate about people being kidnapped on the Deep Web, ordering hitmen to come and kill them, but they were playing like this game to try to kill the hitman themselves. So yeah, the Blank Room Soup got the Deep Web edition at this time to fit into that horror genre of the dark web. Nobody dies in Blank Room Soup, and there's no tag or description that would lead somebody to another website, so it seems pretty unlikely that somebody who owns a shock site would then upload a portion of their snuff film to YouTube to get cross-traffic. It just doesn't make any sense. Part of the original speculation included the stew that was featured in the video. It's very stew-like, and instead of beef or maybe pork, people speculated that maybe the man was kidnapped along with his child or his partner, and that the soup that he's forced to eat by these mascots is actually the remains of whoever his loved one was. People also thought that maybe the soup contained something harmful like poison or glass, and that's why he was crying, like maybe it was causing pain to him or he was scared that he would die. One point of contention that's been brought up since the video was first published is that we don't know where these characters came from, but that's not true. We know now, thanks to YouTube sleuth Rainbot, although she doesn't upload as frequently as she used to, would do deep dives into the paranormal and true crime and a lot of other macabre subjects. She ended up being able to uncover who created them and what the original purpose behind them was. The figures were created by California native and artist Raymond Percy. Raymond Percy has had a long career in Hollywood, even working on projects for Disney and The Simpsons. These characters, that he called Ray Ray, were personifications of him, and they started as doodles. Eventually they grew to become mascots of their own, and he used them in touring acts around California and parts of the country. These characters had content uploaded to YouTube and other websites before the infamous video in November of 2005. In Rainbot's own video, she tracks down the origins of these characters. Eventually, she gets the artist to agree to an interview with her, and while he does admit he's responsible for creating these Ray Ray, he wasn't responsible for Blank Room Soup. According to him, he was doing a performance at a small club in California called the Key Club. Now, this Key Club was too small to have a green room or a backstage area to hang out and get ready for the show. So he brought along an RV where he could change into the costumes and do other things that he needed to do to get ready. The show wrapped, and when he came back out to the RV, the mascots were stolen. A few weeks later, he got a strange email with the Blank Room Soup, and he uploaded it to YouTube, he said, for help tracking down his mascots. So, let's recap. We have a performance artist whose mascots were stolen after a show. And then a few weeks later, a shocking viral video went up on YouTube. I can't be the only one smelling something. And it sure as hell isn't that soup. Now, while I've loved horror content for years and years, it might shock you that I get creeped out pretty easily. Blank Room Soup has stuck with me since I first heard about it about 10 years ago now. And I've had a lot of questions about who created it and why, and whatever happened to the man in the video. Is he okay? Is he dead? So after Rainbot's video, it stuck with me even more. I mean, we have this horrific video where something tragic could have happened, and then we find out the mascots went missing, they were stolen. I don't know, it's just, I always thought it was horrific. That definitely proved that there was something going on. So because this stuck with me so much, I decided to look into this a bit more. And one thing that Rainbot didn't do was look for police reports. If these mascots went missing, that's a big deal. Mascots tend to cost a lot of money, especially ones that are full body mascots and have vinyl faces, kind of like pop figures, really. We're looking at probably a loss of like $20,000 at least, and it would have stopped his shows. So, okay. Basically, the train of thought was, if this is true, then there'd be a police report. In my request, I included all the pertinent details. The robbery happened in mid to late 2005 at the Key Club, Raymond Percy, and how the mascots were used a few months after in the infamous video. A couple weeks later, I got a response from the LAPD records team that confirmed my suspicions. Quote, "Your request is not a request for a copy of records that reasonably describes an identifiable record or records. In other words, there was no record that matched what I described. As far as I can tell, there was no robbery. If you rely on something, especially something rather valuable, such as mascots for a living, why would you not report them stolen? Was the video really a mysterious email attachment? What the hell is going on?" Remember how I said that the video was originally uploaded under the title Freaky Soup Guy? Well, it was uploaded under the channel Renaissance Men, which is coincidentally owned by Raymond Percy himself. But Joe, I hear you say, he was just uploading it to his personal channel because he got an email. He was trying to find the mascots that cost a lot of money. Well, hold up, because The lack of a police report isn't the only evidence we have of trickery. While millions of people have watched Blank Room Soup, you may be surprised to find out that it's actually part of a series of videos. 4, in fact. But for today's purposes, we'll be focusing on video number 3. Simply titled Blank Room Soup 3, this video shows a Ray Ray dragging a man bound and gagged in glasses through a yard at night. While not much seems identifiable in this low-quality dark video, internet sleuths better than I have been able to identify the man being dragged around. This man is Gil Sharon, the drummer of the band Stolen Babies, and while it's dark and low quality, you can surely see a resemblance between the two. Stolen Babies had a song uploaded in 2006, a year after Blank Room Soup, called Push Button. The video is darkly whimsical, however, at the 2:57 mark in the video, you can see our beloved Ray Ray mascots dancing around. With the early virality of Blank Room Soup, it would make sense for a little obscure band to take advantage of the virality and insert them in their video for shock value. But how did they get the suits? Did they make replicas? Surely a small-time band like Stolen Babies wasn't able to afford such expensive mascots. You know, maybe this was the Ray Rays trying to warn the other members of the band from using them further. As I said before, Raymond Percy has been an entertainer for decades. He's won Emmys and even recently directed a Peanuts special. He isn't, however, the only creative member of his family. His sister, Dominique Leonore Percy, just so happens to be the main singer for Stolen Babies. In wrapping all this up, it seems to me that this is not actually a story of stolen mascots and a kidnapped man eating the remains of a dead loved one. Instead, it was all staged. If you look at the timeline of events, this all happened in 2005. The mascots were stolen earlier in that year, and then Blank Room Soup was uploaded to YouTube in November of 2005. But what also happened that year was that Raymond Percy started his directorial stint on The Simpsons. Now, I don't know how many people watching this right now are familiar with the complexities of directing or producing anything, whether it be a live-action show, a commercial, a movie. All of those take ages. One director can work on a singular movie for 5 years, and that's not even if something is going wrong. And this is doubly true for animation. Even with computers progressing even back then to a state to make animation easier, directing animation, I'm sure, is no easy task. So it seems to me that what probably happened is that as being the performance artist that he was, Raymond Percy had a connection to these mascots, and he couldn't just stop using them because he didn't have time, because he was directing Simpsons episodes, so he wanted to send them off in a memorable and meaningful way. Remember, by doing this with the story of a kidnapped man eating flesh, it kind of ruins the brand identity of the mascots. It seems likely to me then that he did this as one final send-off to his mascots, and that he did it intentionally in such a strange way that it would definitely get attention. Also, if you look closely at the man in the video, he bears a strong resemblance to Raymond Percy. There was no link to Stolen Babies or any other sort of promotional flair like comments or part of the description mentioning the band. So it seems as though this happened at the end of 2005 to commemorate the end of the Ray Rays, and then he went ahead and let his sister's band use the mascots in the future, once the idea was developed for them to do that. It's also important to mention that YouTube was popular back then, but it was just starting out. This wasn't the YouTube of today where hundreds and hundreds of videos get uploaded per minute. And back then, things were able to be seen more easily, especially something as strange as Blank Room Soup. So, there was a higher chance that if he put out something so strange, it would go semi-viral. I think maybe Raymond Percy didn't expect the video to get as popular as it did. I mean, it got millions of views in its lifetime, but the problem is that while he's a performance artist, it'd be hard to use them now. The mascots were tainted with the reputation of this very strange and dark video, so he probably figured, why not let my sister use these mascots in her trippy and whimsically dark video as just a reference to the virality of the video. It'd be a recognizable, fun little thing to add. This, in my mind, would then explain why there's no link to the band's page or any mention of them. The video was a send-off for the Ray Ray mascots, and the band decided to use them later after the video took off. And I think with his interview with Rainbot so many years later, he probably just decided to keep the fun going, being the old performance artist that he was. By this time, he was doing voice acting in smaller roles in Zootopia, and it would be hard to bring up the fact at this point that, yeah, I was the one that created these videos for the shock value way back then to get attention, and I think he just wanted the fun and the speculation to live on. I mean, here we are. It was first uploaded in 2005, and now it's 2024, and I'm talking about this now. I guess on a personal note, I'm glad that I'm no longer disturbed by this video. Yes, I'm happy that nobody was hurt by this video happening, but it's also disappointing because the story of some mascots that were owned by performance artists getting stolen and then being used in this sick and twisted video that scares so many people is far more compelling than a story of a performance artist that loved his mascots and wanted to use them one last time in a strange way. But regardless of the truth behind Blank Room Soup, I think we can all agree that Raymond Percy did what he set out to do and made a very compelling, very strange, viral horror video. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I've been gone for a while, my schedule's been very strange, I know that, but I had a lot happening at the start of the year. I moved, I lost a family member, and there's been a lot of things just impacting the time I'm able to put into these videos. But moving forward, and now that I am more settled, I am hoping to really catapult myself and be able to put up more content at least twice a month. And once we're able to get to 50 subscribers, I would love to, and I'm eager to, be able to do some live streams. I don't know what exactly. We could do analyses of different videos if we wanted to, or we could go ahead and do some gaming streams. I used to love Resident Evil 5, so it'd be fun to revisit that. Anyway, thank you, and I'll see you next time.